Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello, everybody. And today we're interviewing Kate Perry. She's a principal stager, creative director, and owner of Accents and Amenities LLC in Chester County, Pennsylvania. She's a graduate of the Staging Diva Home Staging Training Program by internationally recognized staging expert Debra Gould. Prior to doing home staging, Kate enjoyed 22 years as a registered nurse while raising her 4 sons. Her organizational skills, combined with her love for transforming spaces, motivated Kate to launch Accents and Amenities, Home Staging, and Redesign. Kate's passion for decorating and transforming homes, her focus on problem solving, and her desire to help others make the opportunity to stage homes a pleasurable and rewarding second career. Kate stages homes in Pennsylvania, including Chester, Montgomery, and Delaware Counties. Welcome, Kate, and thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Kate, before we jump in, can you tell us a bit more about yourself and then how this came about?
Well, home staging is actually a second career for me. I've worked 22 years as a registered nurse while raising my 4 sons. I've always enjoyed decorating my homes and helping friends and family with their homes. And even though I completed my training for home staging quite a few years ago, I continued my career in nursing until my sons were pretty much grown.
Okay, so that's something you actually thought about doing a long time ago.
Yeah, I did it just because it was something I've just always enjoyed. I did the training, but at that time I wasn't. I'm also divorced, so I wasn't in a position to quit my job and try to start a business on my own. So, like I said, while I continued my nursing degree, my nursing career, I just pursued my interests and did things on the side, but not quite started a business at that point.
Okay, that makes sense. Now let's talk about some of the personal attributes or traits or quality that you think contributed the most to your success, or how did you develop them over time?
I think definitely a strong work ethic, organizational skills, and self-discipline are very important, probably to be successful in any type of business. When you start a business or when you run your own business, there's no one supervising you. You're not punching a clock. So you need to be motivated and disciplined to put the time in and the effort in order to be successful. The skills actually for staging homes comes fairly naturally to me, but the business side of things and the marketing involved, all the behind the scenes type work for a business, they're the skills that I really had to hone in on and educate myself. And like I said, the business model that I'm following of Staging Diva Debra Gould, she really helped with all that. And after I completed that training, because I did a couple different trainings, once I completed her training, then I felt more confident in actually starting a business. It wasn't the home staging, the acts of staging that I was concerned about. It was really the business end of things. So you just really have to be motivated and have a strong work ethic to, keep moving forward even when things get tough, and just work hard at building a business.
Mm-hmm. Can you give some examples of how these traits helped you?
Well, when you're first starting out, it's kind of difficult. You feel kind of like you're on your own. It's important to network, to reach out to people that you can learn from, really, in order to be successful. And like I said, I'm very organized. I was raised with a strong work ethic. I think those traits help me to stay focused even when there are some things I'm struggling with in business. And I just think that if you want to run a business and be successful at it, then you need to be prepared to work hard and really stick with it and work at it every day.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, like a lot of things, there's no direct line or straight line to success, right? I mean, what are some of the major adversities or trials you have to overcome to achieve your goals?
Well, I'm not sure that the adversities I've faced are as important as what I've done in the face of adversity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
Because we all face it, we all have different adversities in life. And, my story is probably very different from yours. And it's really, like I said, what you do when you face the adversity. Do you keep moving? Do you pick yourself up? And I prefer to look at adversities as kind of speed bumps. And as long as I remain focused and I keep moving forward, the adversities or the speed bumps may slow me down, but they don't usually change my course or determine my success. So I really just try to pick myself back up when things get tough. I would say that going through a divorce, which was 10 years ago, and having 4 younger children at that point was definitely an adversity. But you just keep working through it, and that's what I try to do.
I think one thing that comes up in those moments is that you mentioned you were keeping your focus and picking yourself up and really focusing on goals and specific goals and keep marching forward.
Right.
That's kind of what I'm picking up, right?
And it can be, truthfully, it can be really difficult at times. And you're going to, sometimes you may not get the support you need. People may may have looked at me kind of without saying it, but with having a nursing career, why would you want to give that up and do something totally different? And people may judge or make their determinations of what you should and shouldn't be doing. But it's really important, I think, to just be confident and just stay focused on what you want to do, even though at times I've questioned it myself. But it really depends on how badly you want it, I think, no matter what it is. And in my case, it was just starting a business and just keep chugging along.
Yeah, I like when you say it depends how bad you want it.
Yeah.
Good.
It's not easy. It has not been easy for me. Maybe it comes easier to other people, but it has been an up and down path. It's staging has busier seasons, and when it's not busy, it's been important that I stay on track by doing some of the behind the scenes social media. I may not be out staging as frequently during the slower seasons, but there's still a lot to be done to build the business, and that's what you have to stay focused on, I think.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of keeping focused, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, I just hope to continue seeing growth in my business. As I go along, I expect to face new challenges and have to overcome new obstacles. But the more experienced I get, I think, as we all go on and the longer you do it, you become more experienced and you learn how to handle those obstacles. My business coach reminds me, which is Debra, reminds me that when we zero in on where we want to be all the time, we can lose sight of where we started and how far we've come. So even though it's important to look forward, when you're going through the tougher times, the slower times in business, you start questioning things. It's really important to look back and see where you were or where I was 2 years ago, 1 year ago, 1 month ago, in order to really measure your growth. So I just hope to keep growing my business and keep doing it as long as I enjoy it. And I really do. I enjoy it a lot.
Nice. And how do you feel the best way is to continue to market yourself? You mentioned social media earlier. Without going into details, do you have any other approaches to market yourself in the future?
Well, like I said, spring and fall are typically the busier seasons in staging. So during those seasons, it's a little more difficult. My time is a little more limited as far as networking and marketing and getting out there and being seen. This year especially, I've been focusing more on expanding my website. I started a blog, so I'm trying to blog regularly and just trying to be more present on social media. I've been adding more content to my Facebook page. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter. And my next area that I want to tackle is Pinterest. I haven't done much on Pinterest, but it's probably a good avenue for home staging since it's such a visual type of business. So that's next on my agenda. So just really trying to get involved in social media.
That sounds good. Now, do homeowners or realtors get upset when you suggest any changes?
Actually, no. Experienced listing agents, realtors understand the value of home staging, and they usually recommend staging to their clients. And when I meet with a seller, whether the seller has called me themselves or one of the agents that I work with has, given me a client to contact, the first thing I do with the seller is when I go to their home, I sit down and we have a discussion. I build a relationship a little bit. And I explain to them what home staging is, why it is important for selling their house in order to sell it quickly and to get the most money for it. And once the seller understands that, and they understand that staging is an investment and not just a cost, an expense that they have. Once they understand it's an investment and that the purpose of staging is so that we appeal to the majority of buyers. And when they understand that my recommendations are aimed at that goal to appeal to the majority of buyers, they're usually on board. I always work within a client's budget and their time frame. Lots of times you get a call and, they want it listed in 2 days. So you try to work with them as quickly as possible. But I usually convince them that with some time, some effort, some elbow grease, we can get the job done as long as they're willing to follow my direction. And I really have never had anyone that gets angry or upset or, just because why would they be calling, if
But on that note, what would be the biggest misconception or myth people have about what you're doing?
I would say that one of the biggest misconceptions or myths is that home staging is too expensive or it's unaffordable or that it's geared towards, high price point houses and not necessarily, houses in the lower price point. It's really important for all homes to be staged because savvy buyers are shopping online first. 90% of buyers are looking at homes online. So if your pictures, your photos online don't stand out and don't catch the eyes of buyers, you're easily overlooked. And that's really, it didn't used to be that way. It used to be that realtors years ago would, say they called you, Eric, and said, hey, we have this house and this house for you to look at. We think you're going to love it. And you went and looked at it. But now, as the buyer, I'm online looking myself, and then I call my realtor and say, hey, I found a house I want to look at. So you really need to stage homes. It's not unaffordable. It's an investment. If you stage your home, you're going to get that money back because you're going to get higher offers. You're going to sell more quickly. So you're going to save money on that mortgage that you're paying. So I would say the biggest myth is just that it's too expensive and I can't afford a stager.
That makes sense. To wrap up, do you have one piece of advice for our listeners that want to enter into the home staging business and be successful at it?
I would say, I don't know if I have one specific piece of advice, but I would say that if you're creative, if you enjoy helping people, then go for it. The only failure is a failure to try. So if you think you want to do staging, look into it. I think the Staging Diva training is a must-do. She gives you a complete business model, where to start, what to do, what steps to follow to be a successful home stager. And that's what's worked for me. So that would be my advice.
That's awesome. Awesome advice, actually. And now, how can our listeners learn more or get in touch with you?
Well, my business name is Accents and Amenities, Home Staging and Redesign. You can learn more about my services online at accentsandamenities.com. I invite listeners to like my Facebook page, which is also Accents and Amenities. Follow me on Twitter, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm trying to be all over the place on social media. So, but my website, accentsandamenities.com, is probably the easiest way to reach me, and it'll give you a little bit more information about my services and about me and just generally what home staging is and how it can help you.
Well, thank you so much, Kate, for taking the time to exchange these stories with us. It was extremely interesting. I mean, myself, home staging, you only hear about it a little bit, but to get a bit more insight in it, it's awesome. So thank you very much for taking the time to doing this for us.
It's been my pleasure, Eric. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.